Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Welcome back to The Real Dish. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Chef Mareya, and today we're diving into one of the most talked about and misunderstood topics in nutrition: protein. Yes, it is the holy grail of fitness enthusiasts and muscle builders everywhere. It's the buzzword in every diet plan, and the number one nutrient we're all told we need more of. But how much do we actually need to thrive, not just to survive? And what are the best sources? And how do we make choices that support not just our health, but also our planet? This is the time where you want to grab a coffee, a matcha, smoothie, or your favorite snack, and let me break it down for you like a master butcher. So let's dive into Protein 101. Why do we need it? Here's the deal. It's not just about building muscle. Protein is essential for almost every function in our body. It's the building block of our skin, hair, nails, and organs. It's critical for enzymes and hormones and plays a huge role in repairing and maintaining tissues. Think of it as the body's construction crew, always on call. Now, protein is made up of smaller units called essential amino acids, which I discussed in detail in my book, Eat Like You Give a Fork, The Real Dish on Eating to Thrive. These amino acids are called essential because our bodies can't produce them on their own, so we have to get them through our diet. And without them, our body's repair and maintenance processes would grind to a halt. Now, here's the catch. Unlike fat and carbs, your body doesn't store protein. That means we need to replenish it daily through our food. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, the amount you need depends on so many factors: your age, activity level, overall health goals, and quite frankly, what do you want to accomplish? So, how much do we really need? Let's start with the basics. The recommended daily allowance or dietary allowance, the RDA for protein, is about 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. So for the average sedentary person, a woman, for example, that's about 46 grams a day. And I just want you to hone in on the word sedentary, not active, not a bodybuilder, not somebody wanting to build muscle. For men, it's about 56 grams. But here's where it gets tricky. The RDA is the minimum amount needed to prevent deficiencies, not necessarily the amount to thrive. So for active people, athletes, or anyone over 40 trying to maintain muscle mass, experts recommend closer to 1.2 to 2 grams per kilo or 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, that's 150 grams per day. It's a wide range, minimum of 80 to around 135 just to get by, but really to thrive, 150. And it's a wide range because everybody's needs are unique. Protein can play so many different roles, but what we're seeing today with the big adoption of GLP-1 medication is protein plays a huge role in weight management because it not only helps you keep fuller longer, it supports muscle, which burns more calories at rest than fat. So more muscle, more need for protein in maintaining that proportion of muscle to fat. So it's not just about how much you eat, but how it supports your specific lifestyle. And I'm telling you what, it's been the biggest game changer in my life. The more I focus on protein, the more I see muscle growing and the more I am able to maintain a healthy metabolism in my 50s and beyond. And that really kind of came to a head when I was training for my first bodybuilding competition. I wasn't necessarily used to eating that much protein and eating that frequently. I was eating 5 times a day, and I still eat 4 to 5 times a day. But what it taught me is that, when you focus on protein, you squeeze out the need for other things that tend to have a higher caloric load. And that's really where building muscle mass, you really see it in action. So let's talk about what the best sources of protein are. And if you go online, you will see everybody has an opinion about this. The carnivores want to tell you it's all about the meat. And same with, paleo, same with keto, but they also want you to get a decent amount of fat in there. Now, the truth is you can find protein in a lot of different places. And if you've decided to be plant-based, you might need to be a little bit more resourceful, but it's certainly not impossible. So let me break it down for you. It's definitely not just found in meat and eggs. You can get a lot of great plant-based protein. So let me give you an example of where these are found and exactly how many grams of protein you're going to get. So in eggs, one large egg has about 6 grams of protein. So one egg is not going to cut it for you, ladies. I see that a lot. I see people saying, "Oh, I had an egg and I had a piece of toast." Well, you're going to need more like 3 eggs, or a couple of eggs and lots of egg whites if you're leaning into eggs. Now, you can supplement that with a little chicken and turkey. So, for example, if you had an egg and then you had a 3-ounce serving of chicken breast, for example, now we're talking. Now that's like 32 grams of protein. And when you lean into fish, you can also get a decent amount of protein. Like with salmon, for example, if you're doing like a 3-ounce serving of smoked salmon, you're getting roughly 22 grams of protein with a nice dose of omega-3 fatty acids. So you see how that builds on each other? Get the egg, but then get some of the meat or get some of the seafood alongside. Now, if you're like, well, I don't do eggs and I don't do chicken and turkey, well, how about Greek yogurt? 1 cup of plain non-fat Greek yogurt has about 20 grams of protein. And if you add a scoop of protein powder to that, which I do often, I'll mix in protein powder and then creatine and collagen and layer that into my yogurt, you can get like 40 to 42 grams of protein in that one serving. So Greek yogurt, or, for example, cottage cheese is great, farmer's cheese. These are all wonderful sources of protein that you can get that are non-meat and non-seafood. Now, looking at plant-based proteins, lentils and beans. I grew up in Egypt where, an Egyptian household where meat is not as accessible. It's really expensive. So you have to really lean into beans. And you can get about 18 grams of protein from a cup of cooked lentils, for example, or a cup of fava beans. Black beans gives you about 15 grams of protein per cup of serving. So you got to eat a little bit more, but you can definitely get that plant-based protein in. And if you are a lacto vegetarian where you're still getting dairy, you can get your yogurt, top your lentils and beans, and you're getting a really decent amount of protein in there. Now, I love quinoa. Quinoa is another wonderful source of protein. A cup of cooked quinoa gives you not only 8 grams of protein, but you're getting good fat and carbohydrates in that serving too. So it really is a complete protein. Tofu and tempeh, 3-ounce serving gets you about 8 grams with tofu, but tempeh gets you about 16 grams. So when you're looking at soy as an alternative to, an alternative protein, tempeh is the way to go. It's a fermented protein also, so you're getting gut healthy benefits, and it's a whole soybean, so it's much less processed than tofu also. So tempeh for the win when it comes to a soy-based protein. Now, you can also get protein from chia and hemp seeds. 2 tablespoons of chia seeds gets you right around 4 to 6 grams of protein, and hemp seeds gets you about 10 grams in the same amount in 2 tablespoons. So I am a big fan of hemp seeds. I add hemp seeds to my my protein bowl, which is my yogurt bowl in the morning. I added to my protein oatmeal. I'll do oatmeal with hemp seeds and creatine and add a little bit of yogurt into that as well. So lots of different ways to layer these different proteins into one serving also. And then I love to lean into like the mushroom based proteins. You can get some really great mushroom protein for a profile that's similar to chicken. Yeah. I have a protein that's got collagen in it, and that is mushroom based, and that is about 18 grams of protein per serving. And then algae and spirulina are also good sources, decent sources of protein. You definitely need to layer those in with other things, but a tablespoon of spirulina has about 4 grams of protein and is super sustainable. So one question I get a lot is whether plant-based proteins are as complete as animal-based ones. And it's a great question. While many plant proteins lack one or more essential amino acids, you can easily get all the amino acids you need by eating a variety of plant-based foods or layering, like I mentioned just now. So quinoa is one that is has the full spectrum of amino acids. Beans and rice gets you there. Getting your tofu or tempeh with the addition of maybe chia seeds or hemp seeds will get you there. So definitely layering them will get you all the way to the finish line. But beans and rice, oh, so nice. Just remember that. Now, quality matters. So I want you to really, for the people in the back, lean into this, because here's the deal. Just because you're getting your macros and you're meeting, what your goals are with protein, not all protein is created equal. So processed protein sources like deli meats or a lot of protein bars can be filled with sodium and sugar and artificial ingredients, and that S word, sucralose, which I should think it should be banned. But it's just no bueno. Okay. So always aim for whole food sources when you can, but we're human and sometimes we need to grab things on the go. Protein bars that have crap ingredients, you just want to avoid. Now, let's not forget the environmental impact of protein choices. Farm raised seafood versus wild caught. We are talking about completely different animals. So when you look at the omega-3 profile of a farm raised seafood versus wild caught, it's completely different. The farm raised tends to contain higher inflammatory omegas like omega-6s and 9s, which we still need some of those omegas, but we don't need them in the proportion that you would get in a farm-raised animal versus wild-caught, where you're getting the seafood that's eating krill and algae and all of the, things that it's supposed to be eating. So, of course, the balance of omegas are healthier for us. So really know the protein sources. Meat, a lot of beef is factory raised, okay? Factory farmed and raised in, I'm just going to say, unscrupulous and unhealthy conditions, where the animals are fed antibiotics on a preventative measure. So they're just loaded up so that they produce more milk, they weigh more so that they produce more meat, and they're just not good for us. So what we eat is what they ate. Think about that. So if they're not eating well, we're eating inflammatory food too. So I'm going to say, if you are on a carnivore diet and you're just eating meat, but you're not getting good, healthy sources of meat like grass-fed and finished, or heritage pork, or, organic, true free range chicken, then I would say lean into more of the plant-based. I mean, seriously, we really need to understand where our food comes from. And this is a very important part of being an omnivore, right? The higher up the food chain we go, the more important it is for us to know where our food comes from. And it's not snobbish, okay? I really want to dispel this myth of like, oh, you're just being, snobby when you say eat wild caught or eat this, like we should just like eat food. Well, I'm going to say my parents grew up poor. Okay, poor. And
I'm Serena Williams, and I'm healthier on Ro. I've lost 34 pounds in a year with GLP-1s, diet, and exercise. On Ro, you can access GLP-1 options, including the first FDA-approved GLP-1 pill for weight loss. Go to ro.co/journey to see if you qualify. 14 to 20% average weight loss in 1 year in non-diabetics with obesity or overweight with a weight-related medical condition versus 2.2% to 3.1% in placebo arm. RX only. To stay informed about serious side effects, go to ro.co/safety.
They would really eat much more beans and rice and vegetables and seeds and nuts and things like that than they would meat. I mean, getting meat was a special occasion. My grandfather would raise pigeons on our balcony and slaughter them, or, it was not uncommon to walk into the second bathroom and see a turkey in there, like he raised turkey and meat and things like that himself. So we knew where it came from. We would go to the market and he would get the animal and slaughter it himself, but that's not that common anymore. So if we're responsible in how we eat, we need to know where our food comes from. And it's better to, go plant-based than it is to eat a bunch of inflammatory meat and fish. Now, how do you get enough protein? I think it's really important to be strategic. And that's why I created a meal prep app for you. And you can find out more by going to the show notes. It's just mealprepapp.chefmareya.com. You can get more at chefmareya.com right from the homepage. But, I created that meal prep app so that it would make it super simple for you to track and know how much protein to get for your specific needs, because we're all different. 5-pound woman is going to eat very differently than a 180-pound man or a 250-pound, bodybuilder. So we all have different needs. And that's where the meal prep app is going to be indispensable for you. It's just $19.99 a month. And with that, you get a specific meal prep program for you. And it uses all of my recipes that are really easy to make and all whole food. So you could say, like, for example, I'm after this goal. I weigh this much right now. I'm a 52-year-old female, and my goal is to, gain muscle or lose weight or, stay where I am, but just eat better, or, gain muscle, whatever it is. So I think I said gain muscle already. But anyway, see, that's how focused I am on gaining muscle. But, it would behoove you to just check it out. It's free to create an account, mealprepapp.chefmareya.com. And you can get the link in the show notes and just check it out. I would never steer you wrong. But here are some practical tips to get to your protein. So do the math. If your goal is to get 120 grams of protein a day, you're just going to need to split it up over your meals. So if you're eating 4 times a day, it's 30 grams of protein a meal. I mean, I'm not a math whiz, but I could figure that out without a calculator. So start the day strong. This is where I like to load up on protein. I'll do eggs with a little bit of smoked salmon, and maybe like farmer's cheese. Farmer's cheese is the dry version of cottage cheese, and it's as nutrient or as protein dense as cottage cheese is. So just by combining those 3 things, I get to my goals. Or do Greek yogurt with a scoop of protein in there and add some hemp seeds to it. Or do a smoothie with protein powder, add your collagen and a scoop of spirulina. You see what I'm saying? So you can get there easily in the morning. Now, snacks matter too. Keeping healthy, high protein snacks on hand, like your cottage cheese, your roasted chickpeas, which I have a great recipe for in my book, Eat Like You Give a Fork, The Real Dish on Eating to Thrive. Spiced nuts, which I also have a great recipe for spiced almonds in there. You can do pumpkin seeds. You can do a little mushroom protein smoothie, so many different ways. I love, I'll do like a little chicken strip, or I'll do, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say a beef stick, one of these grass-fed beef sticks that it's just like dried beef, like jerky, but it's dried beef. Those types of things are great to have on hand because they're shelf stable too, and you can just keep them in your bag or in your glove box. And, it's like your emergency kit, your 911 break into this so that you don't get hangry and hurt somebody, because you could commit murder if you're hangry. I've seen it. Can you believe, and not to go on a crazy tangent, but I have seen blood sugar as an excuse or as an alibi for, somebody trying to get off of murder. Seriously, I've seen it. I've read about it. And then mix it up, just because you eat animal protein doesn't mean you need to have it at every meal. So for example, last night I had this delicious lentil soup with a beautiful salad that had garbanzo beans, hemp seeds. I had a little side of a high protein bread that I had with it. And it was all plant-based. Oh, and it had a little bit of broiled tofu. So, you can do this. You don't have to feel like because you're an omnivore, there has to be meat at every meal. I think sometimes we work too hard to give ourselves a label. You can just be an omnivore and eat plant-based sometimes. Like in the month of January, I just decided that I didn't want to eat meat for the month of January. I gave up meat. It feels really good to just cleanse your body because digesting meat can be a little bit hard on your system. And I still feel energetic. I still feel good. I'm still active. I'm still lifting weights. It won't hurt you to switch it up. And you might just find that you try something new and you just really enjoy it. I think sneaking it in, or just what I call layering, it's not really a sneak, it's just a layer. Adding your chia or hemp seeds to your oatmeal, adding that protein powder, adding the creatine. I'm obsessed with creatine, because I see how it helps me with building muscle and brain health. They're saying right now that adding creatine to your everyday is even more important than a multivitamin. So adding that to your oatmeal, to your soup, you can add protein powder to your soup. Yeah, unflavored protein powder. I'm actually a big fan of doing this with tomato soup and doing it at the Fit Expo. So if you joined me, or depending on when you hear this, at the Fit Expo, you'll see that I make a protein-packed, delicious creamy tomato soup with a grilled cheese. Come on, who doesn't love grilled cheese and tomato soup? But that grilled cheese and tomato soup are super high protein. Combined, it's 60 grams of protein. And then you can add it to your salads too. So just adding or layering it into your meals is a great way to up the protein ante. And if you're on the go, a good quality protein powder or snacks. I just got these ahi tuna. They're called pescavore snacks, and they're like a tuna that is in a little strip, like a dried tuna strip, and they're really delicious. Get your dried chickpeas. You can put them in a little package to take on the go. I'm like trying to pull the words out today. I don't know why. I think I need some protein right now. But anything that you love, you can make portable. But having some of these things available to you on the fly is really good. Now, I saw recently there is a lot flying around the internet about protein powder containing heavy metals, lead, and cadmium. Okay. I would, if I were you, if you are concerned about this, reach out to the company that you like their protein powders and ask them, do you do heavy metal testing? I get asked questions all the time about our products. So don't be afraid to check this out and do your research. Just make sure you watch out also for ingredients like artificial sugars and ingredients like just garbage that's being added. I see a lot of garbage being added to protein powder. So just because it's in a health food store or you find it, at a vitamin shop, or some sort of, place that specializes in supplements does not mean that it's clean. So don't fear it, but ask questions. So here are a number of different things that you can keep in mind when you're thinking about protein. It isn't just a trendy buzzword. It truly is the cornerstone of thriving. When I wasn't eating enough protein, my hair was falling out. My blood sugar levels were spiking. I had a hard time remembering things. It's all intrinsically tied together. So protein is super important, but it isn't just found in meat and eggs. It's literally in everywhere you look. So, there is no one size fits all answer. It's about finding what works for your body and your lifestyle and your values. I really get upset when I see people who eat meat giving people who don't eat meat crap. Honor the fact that not everybody, has it in their practice and in their values to eat meat. I think we can just honor that and we can encourage people to find protein in lots of different sources. Let's not be myopic. And even if you are an omnivore, you can explore lots of different plant-based ways to eat protein and find that, those can serve you as well. So this is about honoring what works for you and knowing your numbers. Just know where the food comes from. So I hope today's episode gave you some clarity and inspiration to approach protein in a way that feels both nourishing and sustainable and delicious. And if you need help figuring out how to cook these things, look no further than your girl, Chef Mareya. I have tips for everything. So feel free to drop me a note. You can DM me at Chef Mareya on Instagram and Facebook, and you can also shoot me an email at info@chefmareya.com. As always, I'd love to hear from you. And I'd love to know, what's your favorite protein-packed meal? You can leave me a comment to keep the conversation going. And if this episode sparked something for you, would you just give me a little virtual tip and share it with a friend? The more we share, the more we care. And I know that your friends are curious about this because it's one of the most asked questions that I get that I know a lot of people want to know about. So share the love and protein up. And until next time, remember, every bite is an opportunity to thrive. Until next time, here's to your best fit life with food. Cheers.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal health advice. We are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. This podcast is not intended to replace professional medical advice, and the views expressed in this podcast may not be those of the host or the management. Hey, it's Chef Mareya, and thank you so much for tuning into The Real Dish. It means a lot to me that you're here. I hope today's episode has inspired you to take some proactive steps towards a healthier and happier you. Because just remember, bite-sized changes can lead to big transformations. But before you go, would you do me a big favor? If you found value in this episode, would you share it with 2 of your closest friends and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode? And if you really want to make this girl's day, would you leave a 5-star review? I do hear an angel gets its wings every time you do that. But really, this helps us spread the message of real life wellness to even more listeners. And everybody could use a healthy portion of that, right? Now, until next time, remember, you are the chef of your own kitchen. So feed your life well, make good decisions, prioritize your well-being, and remember, you need to take care of you because we only get one of you and you are a gift to everyone around you. So until next week, this is Chef Mareya signing off. And just remember, we're here to cook up a good time every single week. We'll see you soon.